I think in general, standardization of equipment is something that's on the minds of owners and operators of a building or facility. It's complicated to manage the group that's managing buildings, especially when there's more than one. And I think in the case of 207, there's a couple million square feet between the three high schools. And so standardization of equipment is just one way to sort of simplify the lives of the people that are responsible for maintaining and then eventually replacing that equipment one day.
Your maintenance staff doesn't have to learn how to work on different pieces of equipment. Once they know one, they know it throughout the district. So the standardization of equipment comes a long way as far as helping maintenance being able to go through and work on the equipment on a daily basis. And then standardization of equipment also helps if you have to stockpile filters or belts or whatever the part may be. It's the same part for every school, for every piece of equipment. So you're not running around to various manufacturers to be able to buy these parts and pieces. It's basically you have 3 or 4 vendors that you work with. You have a familiarity with them, and a relationship is made, and therefore they can order those parts through those companies at any given time.
Standardization is the way to go, even if you pay a little bit of premium for it, because standardization allows you to buy in bulk. And I think that whatever we overpaid or paid a slight premium for to standardize, we more than offset in our ability when we bid those items that were competitively bid, so that we had hundreds, probably thousands of the same unit. And I'm thinking of lights. I'm thinking of, we standardize everything, flooring. We standardize a bunch of stuff that even weren't mechanicals. But more important than that is we have highly skilled employees on staff, and our standardization allows us to share that knowledge base.
The architect and engineer on a typical project were really just a part of a much larger team, which includes the contractor, the owner. And so designing a building is much different than it was even 3 or 4 years ago, just from the standpoint of us having to manage things like long lead delivery, very complex construction schedules that typically are phased to minimize the disruption in the education of students during the school year, for example. So Alara taking a proactive approach, what that means is us being involved in potentially the pre-purchase, pre-order equipment with the district. And ultimately that can, if you don't partner with someone who knows what they're doing from a pre-order, pre-purchase perspective, it can introduce a lot of risk into the project.
We collaborated with them at the beginning on system types, what type of systems would work, how did we want to do it, what was our restraints, get their buy-in on equipment, and then collaboration as far as phasing. How are we going to phase this? Because they were just as responsible for phasing as we were. They had to make sure that these schools could stay operational. So how are we going to phase it without biting off more than we could do in the summer months from June until August, right? We only had 10 weeks every summer to do as much as we possibly could. And to be able to do that much work over 4 summers was a major undertaking.
What was really great was, the client's involvement weekly on issues. They were very understanding of existing conditions. Surprises come up when you open up levels if you don't know what's behind them. And having just a very practical approach made it a pleasure to work with them. And then just all heads together. Sometimes you'd have a structural issue, but we'd have to use mechanical solution to solve it, like adjust ductwork and piping to work around it. Or maybe there's a mechanical issue, but you need space and there'd be an architectural solution. So it's just when you really start to get into the weeds, collaborative mindset across all of the groups. It doesn't work if one group's not a team player. And so that was what was really enjoyable about this project when you look back and look at what we did and what the building is today.
My biggest worry was that we would run into problems with getting schools open on time. How was it that we were going to phase this and keep schools open, and then comfort levels? You know, it's one thing to ask people to step around barricades and you know, stay on this side of the aisle because we're retiling this floor. It's another to say, you know, come to school and it's 100 degrees in the classroom. So those were my biggest concerns, and they were solved. You know, those concerns were alleviated by the teamwork that we had between our engineers, our architects, and our construction manager.
Everyone was just, you know, just really came to the table, and especially a client, like I said, that sometimes when the clients don't understand technically what's going on, it can be challenging to get it to go in the right direction. But because they were so hands-on with wanting to understand long-term impacts, costs, and you know, the purpose that they were trying to fulfill, it really made decision-making go much smoother. And then you get a really good result in the end. So that's really my takeaway, is that it was so collaborative. So it was great.